Hi, I'm Wilson Cruz, and you're watching Trek Culture.
Hello, how are you? So I woke up to some news this morning. There is an awful lot going on, and so we wanted to bring it to you in a news video like this. You might have seen there's been some written pieces that went out on the website there during the day. Thank you very much, Jack Kiley. I swear that man is like an Energizer bunny when it comes to writing. So big stuff. First of all, thank you so much everyone who's liking, sharing and subscribing. We really appreciate it. It helps us to do videos like this, so yous are awesome. Thanks a million. The big one is the one we've all been waiting for, which is, of course, we now have a release date for season 2 of Star Trek Prodigy on Netflix. July the 1st, 2024, we are finally going to get season 2 dropping officially. To address, of course, what happened there during the year, France.tv, but they went ahead with the release of season 2 of Prodigy a couple of months ago. That seems to have been a case of the left hand not talking to the right hand, because it was both an official release and also no one officially knew about it. Basically what happened was that, in the long, sad, fun land of negotiations, release dates had been agreed with the various international properties. And then there was the cancellation, the removal from Paramount Plus and the shopping out to Netflix, which seems to have happened after France.tv was given their initial go date. However, there was no adjustment made for that. Bingo bango, they went ahead with the date that they, in fairness, that had always been their date. That's a really short version as to why it's been available there as opposed to being available worldwide for as long as it has been. And I am sure there's more to it than that. The big news about this one is that this is the worldwide release. This is where we're all going to get it on the same day, which is of course because Netflix is worldwide and it's all going to be available. Wonderful, amazing news, delighted. We have reached out to the representatives for comment. We're just waiting for that to come back. Let's give them a chance because I'm sure they're pretty busy at the moment. Then that leads me now to my next bit of, I'm telling you this right now, this is speculation. No one seems to have an answer for this as to in what manner is the show going to arrive. Are we going to get the full 20 episode season in one go? Are we going to get 2 blocks of 10 episodes? Are we going to get weekly one by one? I can only tell you what I suspect to be the case, and that is that the least likely one is weekly one by one. Netflix's model tends to go with blocks of episodes as opposed to one by one. If you think about it, there are shows which are, I don't think as well it's anything to do with it being animated, nothing to do with that. The recent show that I got sucked into, The Fall of the House of Usher, one of the Mike Flanagan shows, that all dropped on the same day as well. I think it seems to be Netflix's model that they'll drop it in one block. What I would hope for is that it's option B, that we'll get 10 and 10, because that of course gives the show as well a chance to find an audience without being finished immediately. And I say finished because there has been no production that we're aware of on a potential 3rd season of Prodigy. So I would not like all 20 episodes to drop and then no one talks about it. Or when I say no one talks about it, is that the conversations are short because it all happened in the same day. Leading me to my next point is how we, Trek Culture, are planning on covering it. As you know, with new Star Trek releases, we go 1 episode of Ups and Downs for 1 episode of Star Trek, based on a weekly release. We actually, when season 1 of Prodigy was airing, we went 1 for 1 for the first 4. Then, as you may have seen, we had to suspend that approach to Prodigy. We then did an episode covering episodes 5 to 10, and we then went weekly again with the 2nd block of season 1. There are various boring YouTube version reasons behind that. Suffice to say that this is a show where it is patently obvious that word of mouth is going to be what keeps it going. You can see online people who are involved. Bonnie Gordon, for example, who, is the voice of the Protostar. And also, I met her recently at Star Trek, the convention in Long Island. She is the voice of, Jack might be the Energizer Bunny at writing. Bonnie is the Energizer Bunny at everything. I honestly don't think she stopped for the entire time that she was there. The infection that she brings, the enjoyment that she brings is infectious. I have been infected by her enjoyment. And just the sheer excitement that is coming from people like Bonnie, for example, from the Hagemans, from Aaron Waltke, from all of the people who are involved in making the show. This is just such a warm, happy feeling that we're going to push forward again now with season 2. The news on this broke online. The first place I saw it actually was Bonnie Gordon was tweeting out it was basically a screenshot from Netflix saying coming July 1st. So we're very, very excited about that. As we find out ourselves what the release will look like, how many episodes we're getting, we'll of course let you know. My gut tells me that we will get a minimum of 10 episodes in the first go. But that is just my gut feeling. I may be very, very wrong, so please bear that in mind when you're coming to your own binging plans. If it drops all 20 in one day, I will probably watch all 20 in one day. If it drops 10 and 10, if it drops one by one, who knows? The important part, the really important part of this story is season 2, July 1st. So excited. Let's show this show some love. Because if there's any show that requires our support, and all Star Trek does, but if there's any Star Trek series that requires our support, it's Star Trek Prodigy. Just a really quick piece before I move on to my next news story. I was this weekend at Trek Long Island. The outpouring of support for Trek culture was incredibly heartwarming, and I really just wanted to take a moment to thank each and every one of you who came up to say hello, to say that you're enjoying the channel. That gives us life. That makes us feel amazing. I passed on all of your messages to the rest of the team as well. Thank you so much on behalf of Trek Culture to everyone who did that. I was a little bit bowled over by the support, so it is really appreciated. Thank you so much. For our next bit of news, we are moving into merger talk. So this is something that has been doing the rounds for quite some time now, and it's the potential sale of Paramount. How this affects Star Trek, of course, Paramount owns Star Trek, so it directly affects Star Trek. There have been bids from other bodies like Apollo. I'm trying to get this correct. Apollo and Sony both put in bids to take over Paramount. Now, the details of that there's serious money going on, but it's Skydance Media under David Ellison Skydance, who has in fact, they have announced to a merger with Paramount. So this merger was announced on CNBC by David Faber on Monday, the 3rd of June, and there's details which will follow throughout the week. But this is big news for a couple of reasons. One is that we finally have an answer as to who is going to be, well, now merging as opposed to taking over, but certainly amalgamating with Paramount, which is going to be Skydance. So number one, great, we have an answer. Number two, Skydance are the ones who produced the Kelvin Universe movies. And now that's big deal, because if we go back several years to the previous Viacom-CBS merger, that brought the then Star Trek Filmatic Universe in under the same umbrella, if you like, as the TV universe. Think about, we've seen so much Sovereign class ships in Star Trek since then, because they were officially owned by different people. Yes, Paramount still had the overall, but it was a confusing mess. And I do not claim to know the full details, because I am but a humble reporter, if you like, in this case. This is exciting because it seems to be that the Kelvin universe is now coming even closer again to the prime Star Trek universe. And look, I know there will be people who will hear that news and their eye will twitch. Absolutely fine. And there will be people who will hear that news and will be over the moon. Personally, myself, I like Star Trek to be under the one umbrella. That's what I want, and I love it for that. So that's exciting, number one. The deal that seems to be happening, and this is coming from a couple of previous sources, such as the Wall Street Journal, for example, is that while Apollo and Sony appear to have bid a whopping $26 billion to buy out Paramount, the actual money that Skydance are putting in seems to be far lower than that. We're still in the billions, folks. Like, it's not small change, but this is closer to about $6 billion. And I think, one, it's because it's a merger as opposed to a straight and out buy. For example, Skydance seems to be queuing up to own 2/3 of the shares of Paramount. So they will be the controlling partners, but there will still be other shareholders after that who will hold on to their shares. The controlling shareholder, Shari Redstone, she owns National Amusements, is currently the controlling shareholder. So all of this deal is currently awaiting her sign off. She is set to receive a nice nest egg out of this at about $2 billion. Oh my goodness. And the big difference as well, the reason that I think they've gone with Skydance as opposed to an Apollo and Sony is Apollo and Sony wanted to outright buy it, and then they were going to split the company up. That they would effectively chop Paramount into smaller blocks. Skydance is inheriting it as is. It is going to be kept together. It's one company. They're not going to break it up. And that seems to have been the more attractive option for all parties concerned. We may remember from the long process of Fox being bought by Disney that this merger, which, hey look, this is good news. We are happy with this news, and we're happy to have a direction, but that doesn't mean that we're looking at something that's going to be happening overnight. Far from it. I'd say a year would be a very optimistic way of looking at this. I think directly, so from a Star Trek point of view, I don't think we're going to see any massive changes for the time being. I think the cancellation of Lower Decks, the cancellation of Discovery, and the sale of Prodigy would all have contributed to making Paramount a little bit of a cheaper acquisition. And if I have my business hat on for a moment, I can unfortunately understand that. I don't want any Star Trek to be cancelled, but I can understand that. And I can also, in that same logic, I can see why, for example, a show like Star Trek Legacy, yes, take a shot, I mentioned Star Trek Legacy, I can see why that might not have been greenlit at this stage, because that immediately begins incurring costs from the second it's greenlit, because then you put your production schedule together, you start casting, you start building everything together, when already they have the ongoing expense of Strange New Worlds, whose season 3 has just wrapped on that, and of course Starfleet Academy. Big news recently being the casting of Academy Award-winning actress Holly Hunter, and this fabulous atrium set that we've been hearing about. And of course, then there is Section 31, The Long Trek. We do not know at present what the future of Star Trek looks like. Alex Kurtzman recently teased that we the audience have no idea what's coming, and it's a very exciting time that there is stuff coming in Star Trek's future. Now, whether his comments had anything to do with the ongoing merger sale of Paramount with Skydance, I presume not, if I'm honest, because I presume there's an awful lot of showrunners and people making shows that are owned by Paramount who are all just they're sticking in their lanes and they're getting their stuff done with the resources that they can, with the permissions that they have. So I can definitely understand if, this is, we have Star Trek plans. Whatever's going on in the big boardrooms, we have Star Trek plans. So look, it's a big day of news. Prodigy Season 2 is dropping July 1st on Netflix. Don't know yet what format that will look like. 1 episode, 10 episodes, 20 episodes, we will see. As I say, my gut says we will get more rather than less. We will then plan our ups and downs accordingly. The one thing I can confirm is we absolutely will be doing ups and downs for Prodigy second season. That's not in question. The only thing we're figuring out is the how of it all. Thank you everyone once again who came up at Trek Long Island. You are wonderful. You are awesome. Thank you to the stars who took time out of their day just to say hello. It was heartwarming and wonderful. And Paramount and Skydance will be merging. There's money on the table, fair play. It's more money than I'm ever going to see. Hopefully this will be a positive thing for the future of Star Trek as a franchise. We will bring anything and everything that we know to you as it comes out. As I say, this is something that there will be perhaps more details during the week on this one. So it's just the announcement that happened today. And until we get more news, you look after yourself. We will have a podcast dropping, I think possibly as of the release of this video, a podcast dropping tomorrow, where myself, Chris, and Tom will go into greater detail on the news as it's dropped, and also into the finale of Star Trek Discovery as well. We will also be coming to you with a retro ups and downs this week. That is true. The retro ups and downs are returning. and it is an exciting time once again to be a Trekkie. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for everything. Make sure that you live long and prosper, and I will see you soon. Thanks very much.